So, dear viewers, welcome to our first episode on Know Your Coach podcast series. I'm so excited to bring in this series for you. In this series and these episodes, what we do is we bring in the best coaches and exceptional coaches and personalities around the world for you to know how they can improve and enhance your quality of life in personal and professional life. And so, bringing you today, a young, dynamic, and exceptional personality, Coach Lucie Lachaux. Lucie, thank you so much for being here. Very warm welcome to you, and thank you for making your time and for our listeners. And I'm sure this session is going to be sharing a lot of insights, a lot of takeaways for our listeners. So, yeah, I'm very excited. So, why don't you share something about yourself? Let us know who you are, what do you do?
Hello, thank you very much for having me. I'm super excited to be here and to be the first guest of your podcast. So thank you very much for inviting me. So my name is Lucie Lachaux and I am an authentic performance coach, which means that I'm not only working on how to perform, but I'm working with people on how to perform at your peak by being yourself without compromising yourself. That's really my niche and what I do in a nutshell.
Wow, great to hear. And I'll definitely deep dive more into what exactly do you do and what famous do you do. So why don't you let us know something about yourself in terms of your background? Since we know each other, since we graduated from the same school a couple of years ago, and that's where we get to understand a little bit more about each other. So I was very excited about your journey. Would you like to share a bit of background about where you got started and how exactly you entered into a coaching field?
Yes, of course. So I started with finance. I was the head of finance in the pharmaceutical industry for 6 years in three different countries. So in France, in Ireland, and then in the UAE, here in Dubai, where I'm based at the moment. And I always thought that there was something that I wasn't doing. I always thought that there was something missing in what I was doing. I liked my job. I had fun in my job. I learned a lot in my job, but there was something that was missing. I couldn't express myself fully. So what happened is that when I came to Dubai, my former company asked me to go back to France and I refused, so I quit my job. And at that precise moment where I had the choice to either follow what I really wanted or continue in the finance, I was scared and I decided to continue in the finance. But after 3 months, I realized that really that wasn't for me, not because of finance, but because I wanted to express my creativity. I wanted to work with people. I wanted to be more myself. So I quit my job and I took time to reflect on what is it that I want to do? Who am I? What do I like to do? You know, when you're in a career for so long, your job is so close to your personality and your identity that you don't really know without a job who you are. So I reflected and I started to enroll in the class that we had together for becoming a coach. And I think within 1 hour of the diploma, of the certification, of the course, I realized how much I wanted to be a coach. I
Wow.
jumped into that opportunity and jumped into that feeling. I did two levels. So I have now the senior level of the ICF, which is called ICPC. Um, and I complete my courses and I jumped into this beautiful coaching journey. So that's how I became a coach in a nutshell.
Wow, I think that's a really beautiful story, and can't relate you more. With this seriously, it's really I can see myself, feeling the same way what you have been feeling. And I think every coach he starts his journey not by birth, but I think with the purpose and the realization. Yes, this is the time I should take stand for myself. And this same energy that you help your client to transform, and I'm sure our listeners, many of them will connect with your story, have been doing something what they never imagined that they could do, or maybe they are trying to explore something new, but there's a scare, there's a fear in the mind. How do I break through from this? And this is where I think we as coaches come into picture. And I'm sure you'll be able to make a lot of difference in some of such people who have, trying to transition into a new career altogether, or do something of their own, or perform at their best, even by being, as you said, by being themselves, having a peak performance. So yeah, great. Thank you for sharing that. So when you say as a coaching, what is the philosophy that you believe in? What is your personal philosophy, and how do you help your clients to grow in their own career or in personal life?
So I believe that success and fulfillment only happens when you create a life that truly matters to you. And that's really the message that I'm spreading out there, that you can reach the top and achieve everything that you want to achieve. But if you're not doing what you really care about, what truly matters to you, at the end of the achievement, or when you reach the top, you will not find this fulfillment, this inner peace that you're looking for, because you're not where you're supposed to be. So with my client and with the people that I connect with on LinkedIn, for example, I really spread that message about identity. How do I know myself better? Who am I? That's a simple question, and yet we're not really able to answer it. So I really want to help people to understand who they are, to give them and to help them to develop the right mindset so they can navigate life by still being who they are without compromising that. And I know that there's a lot of myths around that, because we think that being who we are means that we have to be extremely different from other people, which is not what I believe in. I think being who you are is just not compromising your value when you want to get to a certain point. It's developing your integrity, developing the mindset that you need in order to be resilient when you will have people trying to tell you, no, you need to go that way, you need to do that, when you don't want to do that. So that's my philosophy. Success is nothing if you're not who you are and if you're not complete.
Absolutely. We end up making or choosing a career just because my neighbor did, or my friends do, or my family they do. We really don't reflect back into our own being and see what I'm really good at. And I think there's not much of a mechanism that's available for people to explore more about themselves. Everybody's trying to be part of the system. We have education system which helps us to frame in a way that you end up getting a job. There are only few people who do out of the box and start up their own career, own business, own profession, or kind of freelancing thing. How would they realize that they need to change, and who they can reach out, how they can find a coach? What step do they do as a starting step of that making a change?
I think the one question that I really like, that I think put things into perspective, is to imagine yourself when you're 80 years old and to see, am I happy with the life I had? Am I happy with what I do right now? Or will I
Yeah.
regret not doing what I want to do? And those questions really help you to put things in perspective and to start getting some awareness of where you are. Because I understand, and I was there, I understand you have a good job, you're making money, it's beautiful. Why would you leave a job like this? It's stability, it's everything that everyone wants, or not. What is the point if you want something else? And that's a very interesting point, because I think a lot of us think that doing what you want to do will not make you successful. Well, I think the opposite, and that's why I developed the authentic performance. I think that when you are where you're supposed to be, this is exactly where you're going to perform at peak and make money and be successful. So the first step I would say to people who start to hesitate or maybe sometimes are confused about what they want is asking themselves, do they like their lifestyle? Is that representing what they want to live, and the life they want to live? Is it the story that they want to say to their grandchildren about their life? Whenever they answer that, then finding a coach, it's quite easy. You go on LinkedIn, for example, and you have a bunch of coaches, and maybe we'll talk about this later on, how
Absolutely.
challenging is that? But there's a lot of coaching out there. Now, I would advise people to be very selective with their coaches. It's okay to ask questions to the coach and to challenge the coach to see if really the person has a genuine interest in what they have to do and if really the coach can help them. So first step is introspection, trying to get as much as you can, even if I know that by yourself it can be a bit tricky to have a very big self-awareness. Whenever you have this in you, you know where you want to go, you know that you want to change. Even if it's only that the answer, you know that you want to change, look up for a coach. And if you find a coach with who you vibe, with who you have a good energy, which can understand you and that you relate to, then go ahead. And that's as simple as that.
Yeah, I think you said very interesting is a self-reflection or being aware about your own emotions, what you're feeling right now. So as a coaches, the first thing we do, or in the first session or the first connection that we do is the starting point is self-reflection itself. So, could you tell me a little bit more or help our listener to know more about self-reflection? What is this? Can anybody do by themselves or they need somebody else to do?
So self-reflection is all about understanding and analyzing your thoughts, your feelings, and your action. And from that, the more you will develop, the more you will do, self-reflection, the more you will get self-awareness, meaning that you will understand your values, your desires, and what you truly want. To answer the question, can I do it myself or not? Yes, you can do it yourself. There are some techniques to help you doing that. For example, one technique that I really like is at night. I always take 5 or 10 minutes, no more than that, to play back my day and to look at how I acted and how I felt. Did I feel exhausted? Did I feel tired? Did I feel stressed? Did I feel happy, fulfilled, inspired? And how did I behave? Was I nice with people? Was I grumpy? Did I wake up on time or did I push the snooze button? All of those little things. And what does that say about you? And just having this ability to reflect on your day and seeing if this is in line with what you like and who you are. This is such a simple exercise, but it gives you a lot of self-awareness. Obviously, working with a coach or even talking with friends can help you to increase your level of self-awareness, because people in front of you who are not judging you, for example, like a coach, they will ask you questions to expand your mind. It's like they will put a mirror in front of you and they will ask you questions so you can reflect on what you just said. You can reflect on what you want and your desires. So self-awareness is easy. There's different techniques, as I mentioned before. You can do it by yourself, but you can also do it with a coach. With my client, for example, I use a tool that is a mindset tool. So it allows us to see and get self-awareness on your current mindset state. So from the first session with this test, we get a lot of self-awareness and understanding if the reason why you're not moving forward is because you don't have a clear vision, because you fear something, because you cannot make decision right now because of your environment. There's a lot of factors inside that gives you self-awareness. So there are tools, techniques, but also coaching that can help you to develop self-awareness and to know yourself much better in order to make intentional choice, in order to make better decision for your life, in order for you to be aligned with who you are.
Wow, that's really powerful. And what I can relate to is, I think self-reflection can be a diagnosing whether you have a problem or not. If you have, what kind of problem is it? And once you identify that, then you know what steps to take. I think who to reach out to, what resources to use, and what kind of direction that you want to take for yourself. So I think that's how I think should be a very interesting process. The person must do first before even identifying where they want to go, and this will, I think, help in gaining much of clarity. 50% job is done right here in this process itself.
Yes, and even if the person only is able to recognize some symptoms, that's okay. You don't need to be fully aware when you go and talk to someone. You can just feel that there is something missing in your life, you know?
Absolutely,
But
absolutely.
at least, but this is being self-aware, because some people, they continue their life and they feel they're not happy, but they don't recognize it. So it's just recognizing some symptoms and being ready to change.
Absolutely, absolutely. True. When we say a coach, I think we refer to most of the time in the sports context, right? We grew up saying that having a running coach or a football coach or a cricket coach, and all kind of in the sports spectrum. But when you talk about the coach in a personal life, I think it's a very rare or kind of profession or a service. Many people are not aware that you don't use coaches only to get better in one kind of skill only in sports, but you have many life skills that you can master, and you must be struggling right now, maybe managing your emotions, your stress, prioritizing time management. If you don't master these skills, then no matter what job you do, you'll always feel burdened. You always have conflicts with the people because you're not able to understand each other's perspective. So I think, so what you have to say, how important is to have a coach by your side in your personal and professional life?
Having a coach, that's what my coach told me, which I think is very important to understand. No one needs a coach. in the sense that you are responsible for your own life, and you can go and have a life without a coach if you want. However, I would recommend coaching for people who want to expand their mind, who want to grow, who want to learn, who want to get to the next step, people who are curious of evolving, people who feel they're stuck and they want to move to another chapter. So I would say having a coach in your life helps you to see what you can't see. A lot of time we are in a situation where we only see one perspective, and that's okay, it's normal, we have our own set of values and belief. But when you work with a coach, the coach will allow you to see the whole picture, and then you can make a decision only by that. And everyone has a blind spot. Everyone, the bigger leader in the world, the biggest leader in the world, they are working on their blind spot because they know how important it is when you want to lead a team to be able to understand everyone, to be able to know that you cannot have all the values of everyone, you cannot have all the perspective. So having a coach helps you to one, understand yourself better, and two, giving you the full perspective so you can make better informed decision.
Absolutely. I think this would be one way of accelerating your growth rather than waiting for situations to come and learn out of it. So you know beforehand, if this situation comes, how will you prepare yourself? And as you rightly said, being a blind spot, I think we all live into a blind spots, right? And we don't realize it till somebody tells us or some situation teaches us that lesson, hey, this could be done in this particular way as well. But I think having a coach by your side, you are exploring your mind in all dimensions, and you don't wait for things to happen. You become more proactive and create that sense that something could go wrong. How can I prepare myself for it? So I think it can enhance your creativity, your preparedness for new change that's happening within organization or within the whole professional field as well. So it can give you edge over others. Your promotion or your growth can happen much more faster than you going by yourself. That would be, I think, one of the advantage of having a coach by your side. So yeah, that's very interesting, Lucy. So could you tell our listeners what framework do you use, given an idea of one who does not know how does it works with the coach? If I go and meet a coach, how does the journey look like? What tools, techniques do you use?
So I think it's very different according to different coaching, according to what is your goal, obviously. But there are some rules, at least in my coaching framework. As you mentioned before, we always start with self-awareness. Even if the person knows or think that they know what they want, uh, in terms of action, we always focus on what do you want to feel and how are you feeling right now. That's very important. Where do you stand? So I start with self-awareness, and we work on self-reflective techniques and tools via coaching, one-on-one coaching, but also there are some journaling. There's a bunch of techniques out there. And then when we have this self-awareness, we work on the mindset. What is in your mindset that can be expand? Because I don't like saying there is a right or wrong mindset. I think we go through phases in our life, so it's completely normal to have ups and downs. But what is it right now that you can do, and what can you develop in your mindset for you to be stronger, more resilient, being more clear about what you want? So my program or my framework is all over self-awareness, mindset, and then action and performance. Then we build an action plan together, and we make sure that the person and myself, we are together in that. So we start taking action toward the plan and the goal that we have. So for me, it's always self-awareness, mindset, and performance or action.
Great, great. And what I see more, the major difference between many people think coach as a trainer, but I think it's a way different than just being a trainer, right? Because in trainer, what happens? You go, you attend 1 hour training, 1 day training, or 1 week training. But what's the amount of retention of that information that you gone through such a long hours of training? I think less than 10% at the end of the 30 days, because it's just a piece of information that you grab, and if you don't use it, you lose it. But in coaching, it's like everything you learn, you practice, you put into place, you put it on the ground, and then you evaluate how does that learning go for me. You reflect back on that. So stop and start kind of a process, and then you get to learn, you get to master that skill by practicing, not just by listening or looking at the videos. That's how I would say is more efficient rather than just being going and learning this information from anywhere else.
No, I agree definitely. Of course, when you are in a coaching session, there is always a moment where sometimes the coach will explain to you, for example, how your mindset works, because you need to understand that. But from that, then the coach is asking you question for you to realize. And when you realize, when you by yourself, you get your breakthrough, you learn that much more powerfully than just looking at the screen and learning something. And that's, I think that's the reason why Tony Robbins, I think, talk about the science of achievement and the art of fulfillment. Life coaching is not about telling you A, B, C, D, and you will be happy. Fulfillment is very different from everyone. So it's only through breakthrough insights that the person will get by answering themselves the question that they will learn and grow.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Lucy, any one of some of the success stories that is on top of your mind that you would like to share?
Um, yes, one of the, yeah, let's say biggest moment of my coaching journey was that I went on a LinkedIn call with someone, and this person is an entrepreneur, and we just went on the call not for coaching. We went on the call just to connect, and we started talking, and I noticed that her energy was low, that she didn't really resonate with our business anymore. She's a solopreneur. You see, I thought, you know what, let me just try to ask her some questions. So I ask, which is very important, and I say, listen, may I ask you some question, because I see that maybe here there's something. She said, oh yeah, of course. So we started little mini coaching session, and literally she said it on a testimonial that I have on my LinkedIn page. She said, after 39 minutes, I get much clarity that I had in working with a business coach, because we talk about herself and her identity and the reason why she's doing what she was doing. So again, self-awareness, as we mentioned, very powerful. And getting her face smiling, and I saw how she get back the power into herself in only 39 minutes. That was one of the best story that I have experienced, and I'm really, really happy for that.
Great, great. Yeah, I think this is what miracle happens when you see and meet a coach. You get to see yourself, as you said, analogy of a mirror. You just it's like talking to a mirror, no judgment, just you get reflection of who you are, and knowing that is extremely important because we live in our own judgments, our own perceptions, and very far from the reality what it is, how people perceive us, right? So I think that becomes very interesting. So uh, many times these questions comes in my mind. Many people lives in the fear. Everybody has, no matter how successful you are, you always have fear because that's a part of the brain really stops us from maybe taking a risk and kind of a protective shield around us. So do you face any fears? If yes, then how do you tackle them?
Of course, I fear some fear. I think one fear that is very common to every coach is to not is the fear of not being able to solve the problem of the person. Meaning that when you go on a call, you're very excited, you really want to help the person, but you're scared of not being able to help this person, mostly as a beginner, as a beginner coach. And what helped me to overcome that is to understand that we are not coaching the problem, we're coaching the person. We are helping the person by realizing what they really want, what they would do, by giving them the opportunity to see the full picture so they can make their own decision. And when I understood that, my coaching journey completely changed, because all of a sudden I wasn't focusing on how can I solve the problem for this person, which is wrong. I was focusing on listening to the person, actively listening to the person, and genuinely, with a lot of curiosity, asking questions that can actually help this person. And by having this
Absolutely.
approach, the fear disappear and you become a better coach.
Absolutely. And again, this is kind of questions that you ask yourself. That's also part of self-reflection. And I believe it's not just the process that you do one time in a day. If you make it a habit, then you can use it in every situation that you go through, and you become more responsive than being more and just reactive. Because reaction don't have control much, but when you respond, you consider all factors around and you do a right response to the situation that you're dealing with, not like using the same approach in all the situations that you go through. So I think, yeah, again, we are coming back to the reflection as a very powerful tool that every individual must, I think, possess and must practice. Uh, so my next question to you would be, I know that you left your long corporate job for many years. You worked and you're completely on your own. And that too, I believe you're individually by yourself, right? So you can call yourself a solopreneur. So how does a day in your life look like as a solopreneur, completely on your own? What are some challenges that you face, and how do you keep yourself motivated?
So the journey looks like, first of all, being a solopreneur is challenging because you're not only doing what you're supposed to do. I'm not only doing coaching. I have to be an expert in sales. I have to be an expert in marketing. I have to know how to write. I have to learn technology. So this is a bunch of skills that all of a sudden you need to learn in order to perform your duty if you are a coach as a solopreneur. So for me, because I use LinkedIn mostly to generate, to grow my business, the morning I wake up and I write either my newsletter, because I have a newsletter called Rich and Happy. Um, Either I write my posts for LinkedIn. Either I think of ideas and knowledge development. I think of my business, the strategy, the vision. How can I grow my business? All the morning up to maybe 3 to 4, I really work on that writing and strategy of the business. From 4 until the evening, I work with clients. So most of the time people make appointment in the afternoon. Of course, I accept appointment anytime in a day, but in general, this is a this is how my day look like. It is challenging to be a solopreneur because you always think of your business. You always think of how you can improve your business. There are 1,000 things to learn, so that's why I would only recommend to go that way if you are passionate and if you know why you're doing what you're doing, because the skills, and I think you can say the same, the skills that you need to develop in order to be able to do what you're supposed to do and what you want to do is a lot. There's a lot of things to learn. So it's a mix between coaching, learning, strategizing. I don't know if I can say that this way.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a bunch of that, and it's very busy. Mostly at the beginning of the journey, it's extremely busy. I would say even busier than my corporate job, which I didn't think would be possible. But
yeah.
I love it. I love every part of it, and that is the main thing: is making sure that you love what you're doing. Of course, there are moments where you're thinking, "Why am I doing this? Maybe I don't have it. Maybe I'm not a good coach. The competition is really tough. What do I have that other people don't have? Why people would come to me? Even myself, I would ask those questions. But what motivates me is to remind myself, why am I doing here? Why am I standing here? What is the message I want to spread? What is it important for me to coach people? And when you answer to all of those questions, self-reflection again, when you know where you come from and why you're here, this is what becomes your fuel. No matter how hard it is, you always show up every day.
Absolutely, and this is very powerful. Many people, they quit their job and they think of doing something because just they just love doing it. But I think it's very important that you have your own vision, a strong cause that I'm living something big because I want to make even something more bigger. And that bigger perspective must be there every single moment in your mind. That will keep you wake up from the bed, or when you fall down, get up back again, start again. I think that inspiration always should be there. And for that, I think having a bigger purpose and a cause is, I think, very important. Otherwise, you might lose your motivation every moment that, life knocks you down or something doesn't go things your way. And it's not just about utilizing your coaching skills. I'm sure out of the whole uh, uh, day that you do is about 80% or 60 to 70% goes only in things other than purely coaching. That's your business development, writing and all of that. And that brings so much of learning. It's not just about using your existing skills, but learning new skills that opens your horizon, and then it can take you in a more bigger direction, and you can think of having your own team later on. But then you're mastering those skills right now. I think that's a part of every change that comes with is nothing comes easy, and having the adaptable mind is really I think important. So to build on that, when you say you have to learn a lot of things, that talks about your mindset, your agility, your flexibility, and uh, things are not as easy as it is. So how do you train your mind? How do you bring that flexibility? How do you manage that adaptability into the new situation?
So the first thing is making sure that you have the right mindset when you enter in this journey. What does that mean by that? It's mean, as you mentioned, having a clear vision, understanding what it's going to be. Don't go into that journey thinking that you're going to be able to work in a beach on Bali and make a ton of money, because this is not happening at the beginning. So having the right mindset, sticking to yourself, knowing yourself very, very, very much. So you know when you have to take a step back, you know when you can push, you know why you're here and why you should continue. So knowing yourself really allows you to be very much adaptable. But also I would include a lot of self-care. And I think that's the trap that we might end up with. And I'm the first guilty of that. When I love something, I can even spend days without eating and just working.
Yeah.
But it's not a good way to be performant, to manage the change, because after sometimes the little change or the something that you cannot learn that quickly, that will start to annoy you and you will not enjoy the journey very well.
Sure. Sure.
Most important is when, even if you're excited, that's really good, but at least to take 1 hour of your day to do something you like. It doesn't mean that you have to do something, I don't know, crazy, but just something you deeply like. Watching a movie with your wife or your husband, going to the gym, doing yoga. It doesn't have to be yoga and meditation, but do something you like and force yourself. Even if you're busy, even if you have a lot of work, your to-do list will never end anyway. So just manage to take time for yourself. This will give you resilience, better mindset, better performance. So that's extremely important to keep in mind. Self-reflective approach, as we mentioned, being self-aware, and work on your mindset and getting some self-care activities. Very, very important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we often say, we often speak what we always think. And we always think is what we hear and listen to things around, you know. So many times people are really stuck with the negative people around them, maybe in the office or in the society or things around them. So there is very little that they could do and grab some new information within themselves. And this is about self-reflection, being self-conscious that I'm thinking this particular way because my surroundings is making me or forcing me to think in this particular way. So if I want to change my thinking, if I want to the way I think, my thinking pattern need to change. You should start listening to the new thing, listening to new people who are growth oriented, who are successful people, network with them. It's hard at the start, but this change is, I think, must. If you remain in the same zone, you'll always remain forever in the same, and you don't see much changes happening. You're trying hard, but your surroundings are not changing. You see yourself into the same trap falling into again, and it will pull towards those habits which you already been doing because no change in the environment, right?
Yes, yes. Hence the reason why to have a strong mindset now. I think that's my personal opinion, but I think sometimes people change very late in their life. And let's say they have a wife or a husband for years and they are changing. By developing and expanding your mindset, it also helps you to understand that you are changing and other people are not changing, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you always have to run away. You can still stay there, but being maybe more adaptable in your communication style, in your thinking also. So there is a whole dynamic. The change is itself, the change itself of becoming a solopreneur or an entrepreneur or growing is a big challenge. So having the right framework and the right mindset so you don't get frustrated, so it doesn't affect you, so you don't need to leave everyone around you and then being all of a sudden alone. All of this balance is learned by self-reflective question and by mastering your mindset, really. And then all of the rest will not matter. You will, by yourself, make the right decision where you want to go and who you want to be with.
Absolutely. And I think I kind of remember now when I was talking to you, when I was going through this 10-day or about 15 days of coaching program, which is very extensive, you really dive deep into the mindset, what make people think the way they think, how they behave, why they behave. So a lot of deep dive that we do into, and that's what made me learn more about myself, in the journey of exploring the human mindset. I started exploring more about myself, and that's what my calling that, hey, I should not keep this knowledge to myself. I should expand, I should share, and that's the whole purpose of having this podcast today, is to explore what we know so that people can learn from there is much more to do. We just are, into our fixed mindset. This is how it is. This is how my parents did. This is how my society does. And then we are into the same zone. No, but there is there is a way that you can expand your existing horizon and go beyond. And there's much more better things are waiting for you. It's just if you make a choice that yes, I can do something different. And for me personally, I think in the education system, this kind of information and knowledge must be shared, because today's children, when they are framing themselves, how to handle the pressure, how to stay away from the judgments, how things does not let affect you and affect your response. Because many times if you're not able to handle your pressure or stress properly, it will affect your performance end of the day. I think this information or this kind of education in this field will definitely make people more equipped and learn more about themselves. We talk about emotional intelligence today. I think that's extremely important, more than just IQ. EQ plays a big role for you if you want to grow in your career, because rest of all you do is managing people around you, and that all talks about managing emotions, about yourself and about others. What advice would you give to your listeners if one wants to excel in their personal or professional life?
I would say listen to the little voice inside you.
Oh,
It's not
yes,
about the money. It's not about the title. It's not about what your mom and your dad wants. It's about this little voice that you're not allowing yourself to listen. Because the minute you
absolutely
start listening to this voice, you're telling yourself, no, it's not possible.
possible.
So
Absolutely,
start listening to this little voice. I'm not saying to
yeah,
people, if you want to be an astronaut, become an astronaut tomorrow, but I'm saying start listening to this voice and to yourself a bit more. Because the more you are where you're supposed to be and the more you are aligned with who you are, the better your performance will be. You will be shining, you will have a great energy, you will be more curious, you will be more willing to learn, you will be more committed, more dedicated. Everything falls apart whenever you start listening to this little voice. And if you need
yeah,
help, just raise your hand. There's a ton of people
absolutely,
that can just raise your hand and say, you know what, I feel there is something in me, something else than this life that I'm living. I don't know what it is, I don't know how to go, but I really want to get there. I'm ready. So just raise your
absolutely,
hand. It's not a weakness. It has nothing to do with the performance. It's just you want to know more, and by yourself you didn't
yeah,
find the answer. Every athlete has
absolutely,
a coach. That's for a reason. The coach of every athlete is not better than the athlete at what he does. It's
absolutely,
just telling him, showing him that maybe he can take that strategy, that pass. That's exactly the same thing.
absolutely. Which most of the time we are not able to do by ourselves, and having that external help definitely help us to expand that possibility within ourselves. And that's what make me remember one of the quote is in somebody said, "You're born two times. You're born twice. One is the day that you were born, and second time is the day that you realize why you were born." And I think that's where the realization point that that's always inner self talks to you, but we suppress it, because of our limitation in our belief, and you don't believe. And we always say, is someone who can stop your growth is not who people around you, but the person inside you is the one who always talks to you. I can't do, but you just rephrase those phrases into say, how can I do it? What else? What resources do I have? Just shifting the framework can give you, because more questions you ask, your brain is ready to give you the answer. It's just that we don't ask enough questions, right? And that's exactly what happens in the coaching session. All you get to do is to ask questions, and you just reflect, and that's what it does, the rest of the work for
Yes.
you.
And I think one very important thing is that it's not going to appear to yourself in a like this very fast, because I think people are thinking a lot of what is my purpose, what is my purpose, what is my purpose, oh my god, I need to find it, and when I will find it, that will be done. It doesn't work like this. It works through action. When you start feeling something and you want to do something, you need to start doing a little bit of action and moving forward, and only when you start getting there, you will start feeling it, you will start understanding. But it takes time. It doesn't take just 1 minute and saying, oh yes, I want to be a musician, so I'm being a musician tomorrow, I quit my job, I'm being a musician, this is my purpose. It doesn't work like this. It works with work, with action, and then you create something that is bigger than you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, great, Lucy. So we are coming towards the end of our podcast. I have only few questions to go through. So any advice that you would give to the new or aspiring coaches who have identified coaching as a profession and they want to get into this full time? Any advice for them?
I would say two things. I would say ask yourself why you want to do that. Because if you're not passionate about people, if you just want notoriety or, fame, this will not work. You need to have a very big dedication to people and to growth and to want to learn. So do it with passion, sorry. And the second thing is always stick to your mission. Because the minute you enter in the coaching industry, there's a ton of coaches, there's a ton of competition. But and we can be tempted, sorry, to go and try to do what someone is doing. Or it's performing well, it's working well. That looks pretty cool. I want to do that.
Yeah.
Now, always go back to yourself. What is it that you want to do? What is your unique mission? What makes you unique? So be passionate and ask yourself why you're doing that and stick to your guns. Be yourself. No matter what is around you, be yourself.
Yeah, great. And any particular skill that stands out to be a best coach?
Active listening.
Active listening.
Active
We always talk
listening.
about it. Yeah.
There's no if you end up having a session and talking for most of the time, you're losing it. You need to
Yeah,
actively listen and have a genuine interest in what the person is saying in front of you.
absolutely. So the ratio that we follow is 5% asking and 95% listening, right? That's what the framework of being coaches are. That's what exactly happens in the session. So you let your client to reflect back, explore more, go whichever direction you want to go. So it's a very safe space. Can we call it a very psychological safe space? Because many people must be thinking, oh, if I go to this person, I don't know this. Why should I share my personal issues or what I'm going through? So what would you say to such people who may be having these questions in the mind?
First of all, whenever you enter into a coaching session or into a coaching program, there are many things happening. The coach is certified, which means that he has signed document paper that he has to be confidential with everything that he does. Also, there is a contract between the coach and yourself stipulating that everything is confidential. And the third thing is because you are hiring a certified coach, the coach is able to create this safe place for you. The coach is trained for that, and the coach knows, that the information are confidential. This is a job. The new coach is not becoming your friend. The new coach is going to be your coach. So it's a job, and as a coach, we have the responsibility that every information that we get should be confidential. And that's by law. I mean, it's not just
Absolutely, yeah.
these people. This is by law. So you can even ask to write down a confidentiality contract. I did that for some of my clients who really didn't want to engage before we had that specific clause in the contract, which we did, and that's normal.
Yeah. So as ICF, those are the guidelines which you call as ICF code of ethics, which we strictly follow. And that's what makes it a very comfortable and a confidential space for the clients to come in and they explore their personal. Because more they are honest, only then they can explore more about it. If they hide things within themselves, then I don't think there's going to be great results that people can take away from it. So yeah, coming with the full trust. As we go to any medical practitioner, we go with full confidence, full trust. The confidential will not be shared. So it's just like that. It's a very professional service. It's not just any service that you go through, and you go with very pure direction and a goal that I want to have the change in my life. I want to perform better in my relationships. I want to perform better at my work that I do, or I just want to feel good about everything that I do in my life, whether the situations are good or not. How I want to change my perspective looking at it rather than thinking negative. How can I make it more fulfilling the way it is? Yeah. So this all thing can take away from us. So any final words of wisdom that you want to give away for our listeners?
I would say if you really want to find success in your life, just try to be yourself as much as you can and learn how to be yourself within different environments. This is key to fulfillment and to success, both. And that's my mission as a coach, is to prove that we can reach the top and be happy and fulfilled. That is possible. It doesn't mean we have to compromise ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great, Lucy. Thank you so much for being here with us. I'm sure our listeners have taken a lot of takeaways, and most of us must be thinking to directly jump on the call with you. I hope people will benefit from your services and the kind of noble work that you do around in transforming people and lives around. Uh, what are the different ways people can reach out to you?
Mostly on LinkedIn with my name, Lucie Lachaux. And if they are listening to this podcast, they can directly send me a message and telling me I saw it on the podcast, and I can directly give them a special link where they will have access to a free mindset tool that they can assess their mindset for free. So LinkedIn messages on LinkedIn as the most common, I think, way to reach out to me.
Great, great. So viewers, thank you so much for being with us, and a great thanks to Lucy for giving her valuable time to share this great insights with all of you. What I'll do is I'll also paste her LinkedIn link and the tools if she want to share with all of you, so you can reach out to her directly right below the link that you can find there. And thank you so much. Hope this was really helpful. And stay tuned. We are going to bring a lot of other coaches all around the world to you and for your awareness. And to I hope all the best to all of you guys. Thank you so much, and see you soon.